Welcome back to another episode of Wild California. It's wine season. We're out here at Valentina Vineyards in Hamul, California, outskirts of San Diego. There's a heat wave, so we're out here early, and today we're going to be harvesting some beautiful Grenache grapes to make a rosé, so let's get to it. Okay, so we got here about 250 pounds of Grenache grapes. They're gorgeous. Let me give you a closer look at these clusters. So here's what we're dealing with here. There's typically kind of one main cluster, and then sometimes they have these lobes. And so the most perfect cluster will have the main lobe and then 2 or 3 smaller lobes, and that's what we like to call a god cluster. This is a particularly beautiful one. It's a little bit underripe in some places, but that's okay because we're gonna get some acidity out of it. You can see here, here's a smaller, it's still a god cluster, but it's smaller, but way riper. Just gorgeous product here today. These guys at Valentina Vineyards, we've been working with them for years. They really know how to grow these grapes and how to take care of them. It's all natural, no pesticides. Gorgeous, near organic product. We love these things. All right, so I'm gonna give you a little tour of how we're gonna do this. We have the grapes, and the first thing we need to do is remove the stems and crush the grapes. So we're gonna break each berry open so that we can get the juice out of it. And this is our crusher destemmer. We'll give you a little tour right now. So the grapes go in there. There's paddles and there's crusher wheels. They fall down below here into this perforated drum with more paddles. And so what happens is the grapes will actually go through those perforated holes and fall down this chute, and all the stems get shuttled to the end of this drum and pour out the side. So you'll see that here in action in a second. Tell me what you're doing right now, Chris.
We are sanitizing our buckets.
With what?
Star sand.
What is star sand?
It is a surfactant.
It's an acidic surfactant that sanitizes the surface. So from now on, we're working clean. Everything the wine touches has to be sanitized. Just gotta really run a lot of star sand through the whole machine. We're cleaning out all the blades, the hopper, the drum, everything. And we catch our star sand so we can keep using it over the course of the day. So the process with wine is you have grapes, and your fermentation is just grape juice. So you want to get the stems out. The stems will give you bitterness to your wine. So this machine is going to remove the stems and crush the berries. And if that was a red wine, then we would just pitch the yeast right into that berry juice slurry. And if it's a white wine, you press it right away to get the juice and leave the skins behind. And today we're making a rosé. So we're actually going to crush and destem right now. And we're gonna let it sit in these buckets for a couple hours to get some color into the juice, and then we'll press it. And that's what's gonna give us this really beautiful pink color. And I didn't know this when I started making wine, but rosé can be made from any red. You're just taking the skins off before it gets really red. Okay, so before we bought this machine, we were crushing and stemming by hand. And Chris is gonna give a little demo here of how we would destem these grapes by hand.
Yeah, so a lot of years before we bought this, spend a lot of years painstakingly just taking these grapes off the stems by hand. And usually for like a 100-pound batch with a nice cluster of grapes, it'll take like a Tarantino movie or an Adam Sandler movie to get all the grapes off the stems. It can be a good time, but it's very painstaking, and it gets old very quickly.
But let's show them what the machine can do.
Yeah.
Toss that in and give it a crank. Okay, so we pressed that wine and we actually harvested and pressed a white wine. And I'm gonna do a separate video on the press because there's a lot that goes on there. But in the end, what I have here is juice. So here's my rosé, got 6 gallons elsewhere, and then this is a 3-gallon carboy, and this is already fermenting. So this is gonna be beautiful, lovely rosé. And then this is a white wine. It's a varietal called Marsanne. And I'm gonna just show you the final step of once I have my juice, how I pitch the yeast and adjust it and things like that. So it's very important that you measure the acidity and the sugar. So this is a refractometer. This is what I use to measure the sugar. I just put 1 drop there. I don't know if I'll be able to show you this, but maybe I could find a picture on the internet. Our wine is at 23 bricks, which means 23% sugar. So these are very, very sweet grapes. This is almost like syrup. 23% sugar. And then I'm also gonna measure pH. So my pH here is 3.19. That's about right for where I wanna start. There's tables for all these things on the internet. I'll put a link in the description. But it's really important when you're starting your wine that you wanna have the right sugar and the right acid. And then what I'm gonna do is pitch some yeast. So this is the same if you're making bread. I just rehydrated the yeast in a little bit of warm water. And what I'm using is this Lalvin EC1118. I'll put a link to this in the description as well. And then I have here a pack of yeast nutrient. So these are just essential nutrients for the yeast to breed and to grow. And I have here a pectic enzyme. This will burst open the pectin, and that releases more sugar for the yeast to eat, and it also helps long-term for it to clarify and get a really nice clear wine. So I already did the pectic enzyme yesterday. I let this sit overnight and all the sediment came out and I just siphoned it off the sediment. So right now I have really beautiful pure juice. So all I'm gonna do is add 1 packet of yeast, which I've rehydrated, and I'm gonna add 2 teaspoons of yeast nutrient. And once those are in there, I'm just gonna shake it to get some oxygen and to get that all integrated. So just get the lid on real tight and I'm just gonna shake. And then I'll vent and then I'll shake. So do that a couple times and that gets air into the solution and it gets the yeast and the yeast nutrient all going. And finally, here's our reward. So that is not wine, that is just grape juice. So this is raw grape juice from the vat here. And again, this is a varietal called Marsanne. Oh man, it's delicious, it's super sweet. Despite having a pH of 3.2, it's not that tart at all. It's really delicious. It's really hard when you're tasting the juice to see how the wine will come out, but it's promising when the juice tastes good that the wine will taste good. So, stay tuned for more on this series. I'm gonna show more about the press. I'm gonna show the process for red wines. I'll show long-term acid adjustment, later bottling, things like that. So this will be a whole series on winemaking, and hopefully people will stop asking me how you make wine. I'll just say, go watch my YouTube video. So thanks for watching. Stay tuned for the rest of the series, and I'll catch you on the next one.